I think a lot of draughts players are watching this video. Do you have any tips or tricks how they can use their brain in an optimal way during a draughts game? Hello everyone, my name is Ester van Muijen. I'm a draughts player and trainer and coach, and I'm talking to Professor Erik Scherder. Welcome.
Thank you.
Could I introduce you as the brain professor?
Well, I'm in fact a professor in clinical neuropsychology and also in human movement sciences, by the way, in Groningen. So I think that is the best way to describe my professional life.
Okay. And you're promoting a healthy brain. Why is it so important to keep your brain healthy?
I think it is the most important organ we have. And I mean, this is so essential for how we live, how we think, how we are moving, love other people, etc. So I think it's the most essential one. It's also the one you cannot replace. Also, you can't replace any parts. I mean, the heart is also an essential organ, but still you can have some replacement for some parts of the heart. But I think it's hardly possible for the brain so far. So I think it's irreplaceable, and it is, it is astonishing part of our life and of our body also. Okay.
And could there be a role for draughts in keeping your brain healthy?
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure. Because it's to do that type of sports, mental sports. There are some studies that really clearly show that playing draughts or chess, we can make a little bit of a combination of both, because there are on both fields you have the same kind of studies. That when you are doing that type of mental sports, you are really working on your cognitive reserve. And with cognitive reserve, I mean that first you need a brain reserve. That means more structural connections, brain regions, and also the connection between the brain regions. And when that is in order, then you can build up more cognitive reserve, more complexity of the way of thinking. And the higher your cognitive reserve is, the more you can postpone when you are older neurodegenerative diseases like dementia. Think of about 4 or 5 years. So this is really, really impressive, that what you're doing throughout life on mental effort. I think that these types of mental sports are really require a wonderful mental effort. And you're getting really awarded for that, because you build up this cognitive reserve. You will live longer with a wonderful mental condition.
Okay, that's good to know for me as a draughts trainer. That's some good promotion.
Yes, it is. It is.
Could you say that the harder you think, the better it is? So the more difficult the draughts position is, the better, actually?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is not the case that I do know how many studies are particular on this question, right? But what you can say is that the more efforts you have to do mentally, the better it is. I'm sure you are familiar with Donald Hebb, who said once, neurons that fire are neurons that wire. And a neuron is really firing when you are just not doing each time exactly the same, but when you are doing each time something what's different. And I think this type of mental sport, each time it's different. You are in a different condition. It is exciting. You want to win. You have a different opponent. So each time, it's a new challenge. And exactly that is what that neuron really wants. When it starts firing, it starts wiring. So more complexity, more cognitive reserve. So I think this is what, with that respect, only this respect is so worthwhile.
And can you tell a bit more what actually happens in the brain when you're playing draughts or chess?
Well, it's in both mental sports are requires that you have for instance, a big viscospatial capacity. It has a spatial properties, right? It's on a is on the board. It's a board game. So this is all this spatial relationship you really need to know. You need to memorize. Also go back into the former games. What did you do wrong? What did you do in the right way? I know that from professional chess players, they can just encode one whole board with all the different pieces in a specific position. They encode that one, just the whole board with one code. I mean, they think in chunks like that. So this is this is one of the let's say the reasons why this type of mental sports are so wonderful. But let's go back to your question.
Such a chunk, would that also be some kind of structure on the board? So, for example, 6.
A chunk is, in fact, the way you can store up a whole board with all the different positions. So I know from, for instance, professional chess players that they have seen it so many times that they do know that in that position you need to do that one, you need to do that one. And so that's why they are able to do blind games, right? Without watching anymore. So you asked me, what was your question? Let's go back to that one. What makes this type of sport so wonderful?
What happens in the brain when you're playing?
What happens in the brain, right? So visual-spatial information processing is very exciting. But also when you're looking at the brain itself. So, for instance, one of the regions that is often mentioned is your parietal lobe, is this part of the brain, which is indeed very involved in visual-spatial information processing. But you can imagine that it's really, when you're looking at those networks you need for playing draughts or chess, that these are really complex networks. So not only one lobe, but also this lobe is cooperating with the prefrontal networks. Is that necessary? Yes, because you need to plan, make a plan. And if you have made that plan, and you think, I make this next step, this next move, perhaps you have to inhibit that one. You have to say, no, that would, so you need inhibition. You need to learn from your errors. You need cognitive flexibility. You need not to go into that same direction. When you think, no, this was not the correct one, I need to make a change. Cognitive flexibility, being creative, having great plans, memorizing everything you've done before, going back to those matches you did. So what more? I mean, the whole brain is in fact involved there. Do I make myself clear, or is it not clear yet?
Yeah, it's very clear. But I have a question about that, because you thought about when you're playing draughts, you're making a plan, and also you have to check and maybe sometimes change your plan. And I have a special question about that, because in Dutch we have a word called zetcontrole, and it means checking your move just before playing it. So you think about a move, and then you think, okay, this is the move I want to play. But before you play it, you first have to do a final check.
In your mind, you mean, right?
Yeah, in your mind.
Think it over.
Yes, to avoid making blunders. So it's just the final check. Just check, okay, is this move really possible? Can my opponent, for example, give 2 pieces and take 4 back after the move I play? So it's important to do this final check to avoid making blunders. But yes, what happens a lot is, because the games take about 3 or 4 hours. So what happens a lot is that players just at the moment forget to do this Z-control, this check, and they make a big blunder. They play their move, and immediately after they play their move, they see it on the board and they see, oh, that was a big blunder. Do you have any tips or tricks how to avoid this big blunders, to forget this procedure?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps you get an opinion. I'm not sure if you're interested in my opinion. You want to hear the studies about it. I'm not sure. I don't know any study on draughts that particularly examine that particular question. I think what you just mentioned yourself, by just take some time for reflection and think of what did I did did I see this before? What did I do at that occasion, or what did I do at that occasion? I think that would be very worthwhile, because take 5 seconds is in general a good idea for each thing you are doing in life, which has a kind of important load. Then you should say take 5 seconds. Just what I just told you about error monitoring. You're monitoring your moves, and I think the exciting part of playing those board games is that you have to think ahead of you, right? Many steps ahead. I mean, this is what makes those people quite brilliant, that they are able to do this and think of what is the next step. What will my opponent do? What will be my next step? Then I mean. So when you are looking at the neuronal circuits in chess players, then what you see also is that they have a kind of, how do you say that? A kind of basic activity in neural systems that, that is kind of automatically make kind of automatic movements, knowing, I've seen this before. I know what to do.
So they know automatically, okay, in this position I need to play.
Yes. So that's my translation, right? So it's my translation of what I read there, right? Mm-hmm. So kind of automatic processes. Whereas I, as a beginner, already needs all my energy to make that first steps. They need no energy for that. They just know. So there is a lot of energy left in those professional players. They still have a lot of energy there. And what you see is that they then are able to activate neural systems that I am not able to activate because my energy is already, let's say, invested in those basic mechanisms. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
So they are able to elaborate on all those basic mechanisms, seen so many times. So they have still there a lot of energy left, and they are able to, for instance, activate wonderful connections, which are normally not involved, but connections between areas lying here, located here at the back side, with areas here at the more inner side of the prefrontal, like the anterior cingulate cortex here. Very important neural systems for paying exclusive attention to particular parts of the game. So I am not able to do it because I need all my time and energy to do the basic steps, and they need no energy for that one. They are able to elaborate.
I think it's a bit the same for grandmasters are able to make very deep calculations where not so strong players aren't able to go that deep, but it's also because the grandmasters just know for the first move, okay, only this move is logical. So this is the first move, and then the next move of my opponent is also logical, and then you can come very deep, whereas other players just for the first move already have 5 options, and then for the second move also 5, and then you can't come that far.
Yes, I always compare with a top violinist and an amateur violinist, and those studies are also there. And what you see is what the amateur violinist needs to play the violin needs, let's say, 10 areas, 10 brain regions, whereas the top violinist only needs 3 for the same piece of music. So there is so much energy is still there, and so many neural systems I can't use, but they can use, and that's exactly why they are a professional violinist, because they play that piece so beautiful that you are at the top of the world.
Yeah, so they can think about other stuff when playing violin.
Yes, and that's why they play it in a way that you feel the romance, or you feel the tension in the music, or you feel whatever you want. And that, wow, this is really beautiful. And I think this is really comparable to those who are playing those board games. In both the music part and the chess or the draughts parts are people with a high cognitive research, challenging themselves throughout the whole life. How wonderful is that?
I think a lot of draughts players are watching this video. Do you have any tips or tricks how they can use their brain in an optimal way during a draughts game?
Well, I certainly hope that they also have a physical challenge in mind.
Okay.
Because both board games are you do that normally sitting, right? So, and I know that the world champion chess player is also I think it's a former soccer player. Yeah. And so I think that this is exactly the direction it should go. And I think it's already in that direction, or it's quite normal even that your people with the professional board games are already laying a lot of attention on their physical condition. And I must say this is quite logical, because the coping with stress and having a lot of blood supply to the brain. It's one of the entrances through physical activity. So my question back to you would be: is this indeed the case? Are you and your colleagues also physical, very active sport people?
Yes, I know the top players are. They train at Papendal, and there are also other sport facilities, of course. And they do have a lot of attention also to physical activities.
And yourself?
I play football myself. Yes.
Once a week, or?
Yeah. Well, nowadays I do, but when we have normal times, I'm too old now for the COVID rules to play some matches.
But let me ask you another question. When you play a match, I see the trophies behind you there on the poster, right? It's not a coincidence, right? You're just sitting in this way that I can see them, right? But when you are preparing for a match, are you then first do a running part for 1 hour or not?
Well, that's a good question. That's a tricky one.
The answer is no, right? The answer is no. It's not a tricky question.
Yeah, I sometimes take a walk. But not that long. No, so no, and sometimes. So you're right.
But if you asked me for giving advice. So the advice would be when you want to concentrate and when you really want to have an arousal, right? An arousal means that you will activate here. You know this part of the brain?
No.
No, it's your brain stem. Mm-hmm. And here, a lot of areas are located here. And they are at the beginning of your arousal system. So here are the source for noradrenaline, dopamine, serotonin as the goal line. They are all situated here. When you start up moving, then you activate your arousal system, and all those neurotransmitters will project to your cortex and subcortical regions. So these are the networks you need through the game. So it's quite logical that you first, you activate them, that they are in a great condition, and then you start up.
Okay, well, that's a good one. So actually, when we're playing a tournament, we need to have a hotel very far away from the playing hall, so that we have to walk a very far, maybe run to the.
But you are such a disciplinary people. I mean, it should not be very difficult, right? To say, okay, this is part of our sports, is physical sport. So between games, you also have to go outside, you have to do some physical training, etc. That would be quite logical when you're thinking of the fact that your cognitive neural systems show an overlap with your physical neural systems. There's an overlap. So you can hardly show me one motor system that is not involved in cognitive functions. Okay. So you are really cognitively at the top level, right? Is playing draughts and chess. Mm-hmm. But the physical part is not important. How is this possible? These are the same systems, only different. Aha. The neuron wants to be activated in a different way, right? Each time a little bit different. Then the firing is optimal. Different ways.
Okay, thank you for that knowledge. I will.
Well, I spoiled your day. I know that. You are now a little bit depressed. I see that. You are a little bit depressed now because.
Yeah, I have to do some exercise now. No, I will play football tonight actually. So I will keep attention to it. And today we are also collecting money for the Brain Foundation. Why do you think it's important to support the Brain Foundation?
I think that we are now estimating that 1 in 4 people have a kind of brain damage or a brain disease or a disorder, a brain disorder. So there are a lot of people who are really suffering from that. Could also be depression, things like that, right? There are also brain disorders, disorder of the central nervous system. And so we need, or at least the foundation itself needs a lot of money to do all that research that we still need to do, because we do know a lot, but we don't know a lot, right? So this is a little bit the same. We do know a lot, but we also do know we don't know a lot on the brain function. So yeah, the money is wonderful and worthwhile. It's a great investment to help people who are not as lucky as we are with a healthy brain, so that we can better help them. Bad weather.
Sorry?
It's bad weather. You hear?
Yeah. Now I hear. Yeah. It's over here as well. Well, now it's sunny actually. It can change fast.
So it's great. It's great that you want to do a kind of investment for the Brain Foundation. So thank you very much for that.
I've one final question, and it's a bit of a tricky one, because in Draughts we have separate championships. So we have a world championship in which both men and women can participate, but we also have a separate women's world championship. And when I tell this to people, they often ask me, why? Why is this needed? And mostly women can get a bit angry about it, because they say, why? Are men more clever or something? But the fact is that among the top 100 ranked players, there's only one woman, and she's in place 90. So are there any explanations from science why this is the fact? Are men more clever than women?
Of course. No. I have to go back into my memory because I read something about it, and very honest, it had to do with the frequency of playing. So in one way or another way, girls play less those games than boys. And in one study, they started up with doing exactly the same number of hours training, and there was no difference at all. And I think that would be also my sincere opinion, or what it is worth, and that I think that I really remember it very well. It had absolutely to do, I think, exclusively to do with the number of hours of training.
Okay, well, that's good news for me as well.
Do you recognize that, by the way? Is it indeed the case that boys are doing more board games than girls?
Let's say there are far more men playing draughts and also chess than women. So yeah, maybe it would be a good experiment to start from now on, teach all girls among the whole entire world, teach them draughts and chess.
Absolutely.
And then 20 years, we should have female world champions in both.
I'm really convinced that. I mean, the question is always, is there a difference between male and female brains? And the answer is always the variation is much larger in the group itself. Mm-hmm. But not between groups, within the group. That holds for the male group, and it holds also for the female group. So, and there is the difference, not between groups. There is some difference, but there's really this is not the case. It's a matter of training. And where are you starting when you're young? What do you start with? Are you start with board games, or is daddy playing chess with his son and not with his daughter? Things like that, right? Yeah. And I think that's really the answer.
Okay, well, that's good news.
And even more, I think that women can win from men if they start off with a physical condition better than your one.
Okay.
No. It's just a little joke. Sorry.
So I know I need to practice more in physical sports, and furthermore, all girls and women need to start draughts and chess. That's very good. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, good luck with everything, and I expect more trophies there at the next time.
Yes. Okay, I will do some exercises and then we'll
Yes, yes. Call me if I'm right? Let me know.
Yeah,
If I'm
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.